What's up, idiots? Ha! You fell for my silly little jape. My fucking gaff that became a jape. My fumble that became comedy. Ah! Blah! We're not fond of comedy in this house, I see. Have I stumbled into one of those woke comedy clubs where I can't make jokes anymore? I see the hydrate redeem. I'm about to sip. I'm gonna let you all know. Astaroth has impelled me. This is water. Blah! I'm starting with water today, so stop throwing tomatoes at me. You don't have to hydrate me through a coffee. I have water right here. Speaking of Astaroth, he is actually why I decided to be a little late today. Because, listen, he's an ancient demon, and he has a taste for the ancient things. He is interested in things that are from his era. Of course, his era is really, really old, which is to say that he is impressed whenever I show him an irrigation system from like the Roman era, because he was like, okay, wow, that's kind of leagues ahead. Antediluvian, definitely antediluvian old. Great word, antediluvian, literally means before the flood. Yes, so literally antediluvian. So here's the thing. I stole him an iPad today. He is like a baby. He is so attached to it. He's I want you to imagine he's so big, and even this huge ass iPad is just kind of fits in the palm of his hand, but he's so invested. Play him the dancing fruit. No, those will upset him. I think he'll know when I like patronize him. But oh my god. It's just been so delightful to see him play with that iPad. But first, let me say hi to everyone before I forget. Caro, you have been sniping first for so much, for so many streams in a row. Excellently done. Well done. What a good and stealthy little assassin of a dog. Hi, Maury. Good boy for being in so early. Aaron, hello, hello. Eve, welcome in. Nightbot. I don't hate you as much as Saribot, Nightbot. Oh, there's me. That's the Bleeding Heart. Hi. Mochi, welcome in. Meow, 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 meow. And Gloam, welcome in, Gloam. I thought you would be streaming Night Rain all day today, or something like that. I am surprised and delighted to see you here. Is that everyone who's in? Oh, and then Aspen. Excellent. Hello, hello. Dove, do you say hello to you in the mirror every morning? Yes, because unlike stupid bitch boy modern weak wimpy vampires, I still have a reflection. Played some Night Rain earlier. My lack of skill in that game should not be broadcast for the world to see. You know, that's fair. I'm gonna be so real, gang. I'm not interested in Night Rain. They had me a little intrigued at Elden Ring and then completely lost me at but it's Fortnite. One of my least favorite aspects of the FromSoft formula is how they approach multiplayer, and the way to solve that wasn't get more multiplayer in here and make it the focus. To me, the solution was get rid of it, which is why I kind of like Lies of P so much. Let's see here. Let me see here. Today we're playing Vampyr. I'm unbelievably sleepy. Last night sucked, but I'm here for Dove. That's right. And I will soothe you with my dulcet tones. Pie, welcome in. Hi. Easy reflection next. Steal someone else's. Alternatively, trap them in the mirrors to be your reflection. Oh, like Other Mother from Coraline? Fucking based mommy? We love Other Mother. Hey, actually, hold the fuck on. If we're talking about badass mommies, and we always are, I need to show you fuckers. Ooh, ooga booga booga. I need to show you Aspen Snowcat, our beloved Aspen Snowcat, is one of the players in my Candyland game, and recently did art of one of my favorite OCs that I created for as an NPC in that world, Witch Queen Andesia de la Mode. The Witch Queen of the North, mistress of necromancy and ice. She is a mint chocolate chip ice cream, and I need to share this fucking art with you losers, because holy shit. Let's see. This will look at, no, wrong window. We're in this scene. This window will look at photos. Okay, and reveal. And I'm going to move me over here. And then we can increase the size of this. Hold on, she's almost here. I'm cooking up mommy for you, okay? I need mommy, I need milk, I need to be held, I need to be comforted. Look at her! Look at Girly Pop! Look at her! Do you see? Do you see? I love all the lore relevant details. Absolutely fucking sublime. Absolutely sublime. And let me move her up a little bit so you can see the full sort of shape of this. This is god tier character design, Aspen. Fucking god tier. It was completely different than what you had in mind, I recall. Yeah, listen, your vision for how she looked was so strong that it successfully instantly blew my prior vision in my head out of the water. I barely remember what I had in my head because this is so much. This is so charismatic. And you know what I want to praise about this character design, Aspen, because like you're really fucking good at this, is the other witches that you've done for me are really good, compelling, focal points. They are, how can I put this? When I look at what you did for Crepe Suzette, I'm like, that's an awesome crepe witch. When I look at what you did for the Rum Baba Yaga, I'm like, that's a killer Rum Baba Yaga. That is a killer Baba Yaga in Candyland. But when I look at Andesia here, I don't just see mint chocolate chip ice cream witch. I see a character in a world. The way this outfit is shaped implies so much like lore and history. It's absolutely fearsome. And let me really fucking get in on this here. My favorite fucking detail in this is this entire thing around her neck, the double serpents. Because for my lore wise, snakes are a symbol of death in Candyland, and I'll tell you why. Snakes are a symbol of death, and she's like a necromancer queen. The way it works is if you die, which most people do in Candyland, instead of maggots, they have gummy worms. But as the gummy worms get bigger, they will start to attack each other in the corpse and try to eat each other. And if one worm prevails over all the others and eats them, it will become big enough that it becomes a gummy snake. And that means if a corpse has been sitting and rotting for long enough, a snake may burst out of it if you get close and try to kill you and eat you. So snakes are symbols of the long rotten dead. So this queen having snake motifs is really important. The fact that these huge serpents are biting at her throat and are made of waffle iron, which is the premier metal of her kingdom that she like used to industrialize and make it a wealthy nation, is such strong communicative imagery. It speaks so much to her position in the world and her history, and I gush about it. Not to mention, it looks fucking raw as hell. It looks cunty. It's high fucking fashion. 10 out of 10. Incredible work. It also echoes the shape of the witch marks. Oh, you're right. You're fucking right. I can't yap about that too much because we have a game to get to. But I just needed to fucking I said something that reminded me that I have been looking at that for the past 2 days, and I'm gonna keep on looking at it. So let me close this folder. Get Vampyr running. I'm gonna leave the OBS on this scene while I'm booting up Steam because I need to do that. Again, I was kind of scrambling. And the kimono folds is backwards, as in funeral garb. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing. That actually really fucking slays. It would make sense. That's a really clean detail. Yeah, the De La Mode dynasty is very aesthetically mixed between like French and Japanese, which is just like in terms of like visual storytelling, which is I think cool. Okay, there's Vampyr. Boot it up. Boot that bitch up. My ego is massive right now. Dove Leading Heart is singing the praises of one of his court artists, and of course that court artist must be proud of himself. Oh, I'm so small. Hold on, let me get the game here, and then I'll unsmall myself. Okay, okay. Oh, but why game big? Why game big? Oh, because I had to resize it for look outside. Let me fix that. And then now I will unsmall myself. I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. Hey, hey, hey. Do you have games on your phone? Do you have Subway Surfers? Huh? Huh? You don't have games on your phone? What? No games? No games on your phone? No Subway Surfer? No sorting sand and vials? Why the hell not? What do you do for fun? Huh? I have the Yaoi game Dislight. Hold on, we want to be a little closer. We want to be about here. Checking. Okay. Yeah, that feels good to me. That feels good. A little clippy, but it's fine. And then I'll keep that prepared. Enter. Get out of this loud ass game. Well, this loud ass menu. We're in the game. EA. It's in the game. Do they still say that? Fume Knight took me 10 tries, by the way. Fume Knight is kind of a piece of shit because it has such a simple moveset, but its hitboxes are bullshit. Especially the fucking second phase hitbox. That sword is like half of the arena. And in Dark Souls 2, dodging is not something that you can just do. Hold on, I'm checking some shit. Okay. What the hell were we doing? Right, we got into Rich Boy Zone. Now we're gonna see... They do. We're gonna see John be so pro-woman, it's crazy.
Oh my god, no. Please, Mr. Vampire, don't kill me. Please, no. I'm too young to die. I still have so much to offer this world.
Yeah?
Wait, no. Why do you think I would... What?
Don't worry, Dr. Reed. I know you wouldn't harm me.
She's playing.
We're in this part of town and might drop by.
Your mother?
My name is Charlotte, sir. Charlotte Ashbridge.
Oh.
Taught me long ago how to recognize the signs that betray a vampire.
How to tease and gently mock innocent young Ekons. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Charlotte.
I'm thrilled at imagining. Now, sweet little Charlotte, my daughter, my beloved sweet trinket. Occasionally you may find an Ekon out in the wild, a vampire. The signs are subtle. Look for the demon eyes. The demon eyes give it right away. You'll have to squint, but if they rock up to you looking like this with a hot angular nose and demonic eyes, they're not just tweaking, my sweet. They're not just tweaking. They want your blood. Let's see. Well, what do you do around here?
What are you doing out here?
You mean, what do I do outside at night since I am a woman? Let me ask you a question, sir. Would you ask the same question of a man?
We have done so, yes.
I ask the same question to everyone who dares to go outside at night, considering the risks.
Well, if you must know, I'm fighting for the right to vote for all women. Why should I wait to the age of 30 years when men can vote at 21?
Oh, wow. I mean, are you a suffragette? Sounds like a stupid question, but we're going to ask it.
Are you a suffragette, then? Oh, you really are Elizabeth's girl. Without a doubt.
All adult women have the right to vote in the US, in New Zealand, and in Australia. But women here can't vote unless they are property owners.
No need to
Wow.
ask me, Miss Charlotte. I have shared your opinion for a long time, even before I met Emmeline Pankhurst.
Really? Oh. Now I see why my mother appreciates you so much. Too bad there aren't more men like you in the vicinity.
I'm thrilled that the daughter likes him. Listen, this is kind of part of the sans affaire of historical fiction games right now, where they'll set it in a period where there will be racism and sexism and so much like institutional stuff that we have broadly as a society moved on from, right? Broadly. I wish we could have moved on more, but broadly speaking, we moved on from needing a women's suffrage movement because in the majority of the world, women do have voting rights equal to their man counterparts. And thank goodness for that. Hi, Zach. Can't steal my blood, it's off screen. Broadly speaking, we've moved on from a lot of this stuff, but we'll set our games in these historical periods with a fantasy twist. Sorry, the EP just came and snuck up on me. And note that what's happening in chat is I'm going to be explaining this sort of like in this thing I've noted while being stabbed in the ass, apparently. We do what must be done. Chat, shrimp this fool, actually. Shrimp this fool while I'm yapping. Shrimp this Zach. These games will have these nods to social issues that were contentious at the time. And you'll note that the hot, sexy man that you're playing as will always be on the right side of history. And like, I think that's at once a little trite and a little cheap, but also really important. Because the people who play video games, even video games like this, are not all people who are on the right side of history now. There are gamers who will play this and Red Dead Redemption and what else am I even thinking of? And BioShock. And they're going to play these games and they're going to be like, man, I wish I could have been terrible. And they're going, and the fact is, when the game doesn't give them the opportunity to explicitly be a fucking fascist, the hope is that they will internalize the unpopularity of their position. They generally won't, but the hope is that they will. And you need to give them every avenue they can to internalize that. RDR2 made some gamers very mad when they had to help the suffragettes. I believe that, absolutely. There was this channel on YouTube I like how the game auto pauses if I don't input for a while. There was this channel on YouTube that I used to go to for a lot of like boss music OSTs until he posted a video of him attacking the annoying being feminist in Red Dead Redemption. Oh, the annoying, annoying feminist. And I just fucking like stopped interacting that channel entirely. But like, I think it would be really important to take the next step of like, you know how in Skyrim for some reason you can't kill a kid? Kind of lame. Children's rights do need to be reassessed across the world, but they are not nearly as behind as they used to be. And I think marriage, yeah, I mean, I'm not asking you to be able to marry a kid in Skyrim, because clearly there would be laws against that in Skyrim, and like marriage is a legal institution. Like it would be very weird to finagle that. But I mean, you're not able to kill a kid in Skyrim. You should be able to kill a kid. But I think you shouldn't be able to kill certain political characters. I think if certain political characters enjoyed special immunity from player action, that would be a really pointed message, right? You're not able to attack or kill the feminists in Red Dead Redemption. They do that thing where if you aim your gun that way, you can't like fire. The character refuses to fire. I think that would be really, really like direct and nigh accusatory. Or like the fact that I brought up BioShock, right? Famously in BioShock Infinite, you can choose the racist option, but that's like it's a false choice, because no matter what you choose, someone comes in and stops you from like doing what you chose. But you're choosing the player character's internal what was I doing? What you're doing there is you're choosing the internal feelings of Deckard Cain, I think his name is. And like that's interesting, but BioShock Infinite did subtly go, racism goes both ways, which, you know, like that's the most fake, I don't want to make anyone mad politicking in the world, and completely fucking lazy. No, I think Vampyr is going in the right direction. That's what I'm going to say. It's going in the right direction. And if this suffragette is excluded from our potential biting list, I'm going to chalk that up as a W for feminism, right? You can kill women in this game. You can't kill the suffragette. That would be a powerful message. And I understand if you can't kill the suffragette because she's Lady Ashbury's daughter, but I also understand if you can kill her, right? I can understand it. Playing Infinite was like, oh, this could be good. And then they went, but both sides. Yeah, there is a milquetoast cowardice in BioShock Infinite that I feel is only matched by the Persona series. I love the Persona series, but Persona 5 and especially Persona 4 have a deep and unabiding cowardice where they love to pretend like they're engaging with difficult themes, and then they just fucking chicken out to a repulsive degree and pretend that they haven't. And it's ugh, oh man, you know what really grinds my gears? Persona. Anyway, we have an ad break starting in 10 seconds. Sorry to start the game, walk to a lady, ask one question, and then leave. But we have some sponsored messages to show you. See you in a bit. Welcome back in. It's time to fucking talk to this girl, this lady, this woman.
How are the locals reacting to your claims?
People here can't wait for a wall to be built to isolate the West End from the rest of town. That's how progressive they are. If this happens, Emily and I will blow it up.
Explosives are very dangerous, young lady.
Don't patronize
Who
her.
is this Emily?
She is my best friend, and a suffragette too. She was supposed to campaign with me tonight, but hasn't turned up.
Have you any reason to be worried about her?
Recently, Emily started to believe in... well, she got interested in vampires.
Oh yeah?
I'm afraid she might be in trouble.
Let me guess. You spoke to her about us, didn't you?
Oh
Like your
no.
mother's warning. I think I should try to find your friend.
Oh, that would be top-notch.
Top notch, governor.
Where she might have gone.
Hi, Vital.
My thanks, Dr. Reed. And please, don't tell my mother.
Yeah, no problem. What do you know about me?
What exactly has your mother told you about me?
Your name and profession, obviously. And the mystery about your maker.
Ah,
Sorry to
my
hear
ankles.
What happened to your sister, sir?
Bad glow.
Says it was not your fault.
Get off of
Is
there.
it not
Kicks you in the
fair to
face.
know what I am? What your mother is?
Why should it? My mother is the most compassionate woman. Must I be wary of her, Dr. Reed? Or you?
Okay, so she is biteable. But obviously I'm going to be selective. Yeah, I think you should be wary of us. We're vampires, dude.
Yes, you should. I killed my own sister because of the hunger. There comes a time when a mortal is only seen as blood by a vampire, whatever the bonds between them.
You can't be Wait. Good one, Dr. Reed. You almost got me.
Glad you found it amusing. But do
Reed?
keep my warning in mind.
I will, Dr. Reed. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate it.
You jokester. You absolute jokester telling the truth about your sororicide. Took me a second to pull that word up.
What do you think about this part of town?
I was raised here, and I suppose it feels like home. You grew up in this part of town too, did you not?
Yeah.
Yes, I was born a few
Ah!
streets away.
Alright, I'll hydrate.
Small world, is it not? Did you ever imagine that my mother was your neighbor all that time? That you could have met her in a dark alley at night?
You won't trick me twice, young lady. We both know Lady Ashbury never hunts or attacks prey at random.
Come on, Doctor. Don't tell me you never thought about that possibility. Her
It's-
fangs on your neck. Oh, are you blushing, Dr. Reed?
She's trying to get this to happen. She's like, hey, I'm in the market for a new father.
Is there something that's bothering you?
Too much selfishness and individualism for my taste. Even when there was no epidemic.
Even if that's partly true, may I remind you that many charitable institutions are financed by the selfish and filthy rich.
I suppose you're right. But society must reform and renew itself, or we are all done for.
Yeah, John, you really need to brush up on economic theory because that's not what's happening. It is in the interest of the rich to make it look like this was happening, but that's never what's happening.
Tell me about your adoption.
What do you want to know?
How did you meet Lady Ashbury?
First, I was an orphan in the institution for girls.
She manages an orphanage.
When I was 10, she adopted me, and I have lived with her ever since.
Did you know she was a vampire when she picked you?
The correct word is Ekon, Doctor.
Wow.
And no, I had no idea why my mother only showed up at night. She told me everything when I turned 16,
That's about right.
though I suspected the truth for a long time before that.
Yeah. I think 16 is a good age to tell your adoptive child that that vampires are real, because before then they have their suspicions, and if you keep it a secret, they're gonna start doing reckless shit. But like they have their suspicions before then, and if they haven't acted on them by then, you can tell them and they will already have primed themselves. You adopted a kid, Dove. What age would you tell them? Instantly. Instantly. Yeah, instantly. I have no interest in having a kid ever. I have no interest in adopting one. No interest in creating one. People are very interested in creating one with me. But no. If I ever get Astaroth pregnant, I'm also going to give him a miscarriage. 2 gifts, back to back. No, I'm going to. If I had responsibility for a child that I was not intending to kill, I would be interested in just telling them immediately, because I do feel like any relationship, barring extremely specific circumstances, is helped with communication of information. Secrecy, even from children, to protect some level of innocence, does more harm than good. I just imagine Dove would reproduce like gremlins. That's why I drink coffee instead of water. Who are your real parents?
Who are your real parents?
Elizabeth Ashbury is my real mother. She raised me and has taken care of me all my life. I have no idea who my progenitors are or were.
Do you live with her?
I still spend a lot of time in my mother's mansion, but I have my own house now. I have a life to live, you see? And one day, I'll have my death to face.
I didn't process any of that, but I'm not going to make her talk again. I don't want to make a bad bitch repeat herself. I'm sorry. I have some personal questions though. Why you?
Do you know why Lady Ashbury chose you to become her daughter?
No, I don't. Each time I ask her that question, she smiles and says it's precisely because I dare to ask such questions.
Do you ever regret that she chose you?
Of course not. Though I often wonder if she adopted others before me. If so, where are they buried? How is it for them to pass through life with a never-aging mother?
Wow. I like Charlotte. She's cool.
Do you need my medical attention, Charlotte?
I am fine, Dr. Reed.
Cool. I have a quest prompt for you, by the way.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage.
So at all, like,
Smell.
a regular night?
No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaney's,
John Mulaney!
who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
Bang, bang, bang. Sir, have you been spreading disease? Ah, come on. You think I wouldn't spread disease in 1918 London?
Goodbye, Charlotte. Give my best regards to your mother when you see her.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.
Sir, there is a whole war out there. And you think I would spread disease? Harumph. That's my John Mulaney impression. I hope you liked it. Hey everyone. Hey everyone. That was my John Mulaney impression, and I really hope that we enjoyed it here together as a family, as a community, as a team. I hope we all liked that. It sounds very close to my impression of the guy from the B-52s. John Mulaney was built to sing Rock Lobster.
Remember, don't let any strangers come into your house.
Then why are you knocking?
Good evening, sir. May I have your...
Oh, you got the big eyes.
Johnny, don't you recognize your oldest friend?
Clarence. Clarence Crossley. How are you? My God. So you survived the war too. So sorry I didn't recognize you at first.
I almost didn't recognize you either. War does that to men, I heard.
Yeah, spooky eyes is a war thing.
In my case, it was true, for I witnessed the horror that lies underneath.
Tell me about it. How's your wife?
How is your wife, Venus?
We've spent so much time away from each other, and so many things have happened.
But you're alive.
Mm-hmm.
You returned in one piece, and you have a family. How many soldiers can say the same?
Believe me, it's not quite that simple. Unlike you, I'm not the man I used to be.
Is everything all right at home? Surely Venus was relieved to see you return from France in one piece.
Have you forgot what people are like in this part of town, Johnny? Venus fears for our family reputation. Now her husband has become the village idiot.
What? What do you mean?
When did you escape the war and return to London?
You know what's funny? I almost never think about the war. Not anymore. I'm involved in another kind of battle now.
What is this new battle?
I saw terrible things during the war.
Yeah.
Horrors I thought I'd forget. They're here too. They're everywhere. Vampires.
He's exaggerating.
I know what you mean. I haven't had much time to think about the war either since my return.
Of course. With the epidemic, I bet you've been busy as well. Forgive me, Johnny. I didn't want to sound selfish.
I like this dude. Hey, can I help you out?
You need medical assistance, Clarence.
It's a little late for visiting hours, don't you think?
What's he got? What's he got?
What can I say? I haven't lost my old habits.
I hope we're talking about the same habit.
Migraine. Checking to make sure I'm all clear. I am. You can totally recognize vampires, but not you. Well, yeah.
I'm investigating the
Where's best friend?
epidemic in this district. Can you help me?
Infection is everywhere these days. But if you ever go to the park near that swanky house belonging to the Mulaney,
Keep my name out of your mouth.
About the Mulaney's. What about their house?
not enough noise for a big family with children. Not enough movement. Closed doors. What is going on in there?
I wonder.
You need some...
The equality between men and women. Women of all countries unite.
So, girl, I love the fight you're fighting.
Equality between
I need you to understand that there's no one here.
women's right to vote is only the first step.
Do this at daytime, I beg of you.
Women die too in this war. Women's right to vote is only the first step.
So I'm going around infecting London, you know, like you do.
Equality between men and women.
Good evening, sir. Please forgive me.
That's how this guy looks.
Never judge a man by his title, but by his attitude. And you are not disturbing me at all. I am Calhoun Russell, and I welcome you.
Well, I must admit, it's good to receive a warm welcome for once. I'm Jonathan Reed.
Welcome, Dr. Reed. Welcome to my humble shop.
This dude is like, I am the shopkeep. And I'm like, damn, you really are. Buster Jones looking ass for real. Oh my god. He's about to bust a Jones hardcore style. First,
I may have a look at your goods, Mr. Russell.
Sure. Rope, lamp oil, bombs.
It's locked. It's locked.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. A great night, what?
A great night, what? What say what, old chap? Pithy and cheerio and what, slap slap? Slimple the wimpy? Scrampy the pop? Quite so.
Do you have any family nearby?
Not since my parents died.
Wow, dude. Pip pip cheerio and that. Hey, let me tell you about the night my parents died. Are you lonely?
Really? You seem to be such a pleasant and sociable fellow.
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
This is Hedonism Bot from Futurama? Why is this character fucking incredible? Just 2 prompts in.
London's lone gourmet. What a strange title.
I used that name in my early years when I was a food critic.
Bro is on Molly. That's right. Hey, listen, if you are ever in real life approached by someone who looks like this, they are on Molly. There's this fucking epic bit on Key and Peele where this dude rolls up to his friend and he's in a fucking top hat and waistcoat with a fucking monocle with gears. He's like, "What's up, Cedric? I'm steampunk now. Umbrellas and blimps and shit." And like that's exactly where he's at. Is that a door in your hat? Yeah, and he opens it and there's a little mouse in there. It's so good.
How is the situation in this part of town?
Life is good and peaceful. We're lucky to live in such an era of progress and wonders.
Are you not concerned about the epidemic?
Oh, I'm sure the authorities would take the appropriate measure if the danger were that high.
I'm gonna choke. I'm gonna choke. This bro is not here.
I'm afraid the newspapers are seriously underestimating the situation. Things are critical, believe me.
Well, that's news then. But I can't believe that things are that bad. Are you sure you're not exaggerating a bit? For the thrill of it?
I love this dude. I want to get this district to the worst status possible and see if he breaks.
Is it not a little too late to be trading?
On the contrary, it is the perfect hour. Believe me, my friend, it is always at night that you meet the most fascinating characters.
But what about the epidemic? The bombs and raids? And all the random violence?
Please, sir, this is London, England. We will prevail.
Oh my god.
Fall on my shop? Then I'll be there to hear it falling.
So I need to share with you, this guy is giving me taking your game to state to break this fucking St. James Street cat. I'm so amused by him. Listen, not to keep yapping, but I have a character like this in Candyland that I perform at times, and I'm gonna fold this dude's energy into it. Governor Dong Ding D Ding Dong of New Taffeta. I'm absolutely gonna fold in this flippant, foppish, laissez-faire, blasé attitude. It's so good.
So you prefer to work at night?
Oh, I also enjoy a sunny day like everybody else. But the night always has a certain je ne sais quoi of its own.
Oh, you know he loved saying that. A certain je ne sais quoi. Bro, the voice acting on this one is incredible. The voice acting on this one is so clean.
What can you tell me about this place?
I recently found the best steak and kidney pie in the city. I'd be glad to share the address if you want.
Don't say it's so horny.
I must confess, I have quite specific tastes when it comes to nutrition.
Really? Well, I'm always happy to try new exotic meals. If you ever find an intriguing table, please share the address.
I love him. This is my new Blorbo.
Finding a good restaurant? Is that really all that interests you?
Oh, I have many passions, but nothing brings me ecstasy like subtle and exquisite flavors from my teeth to my belly.
Christ! This is the best written character ever. Hey, are you okay?
Saved my life, Dr. Reed. I have not felt so bad in many years.
His tummy hurty.
Don't worry. There is nothing serious to fear. I have seen far worse, I can assure
I cannot imagine the pain these people must face then. You have my gratitude, Doctor. This disease has ruined my appetite.
I'm insane. I'm insane. This is one of the... Ooh. Hold on. Hold on. Just a second. Just a second. I'm doing something really fucking important right now. Perfect. Okay. God, I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled. Great character.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
Not really. Wait, now that you mention it, I don't see the McPhersons in my favorite restaurants. They love delicate meals too, you understand?
Thank you. It may be nothing, but I'll investigate anyway. Where do they live?
They have a house in the southern part of the district, somewhere north of the railway bridge. There is a courtyard, if I remember rightly.
Goodbye, Mr. Russell. I'm sure you'll take care of yourself.
I do love a clown.
Women die too in this war.
I understand.
Women of all countries unite.
I need her to just not... If you're going to be yelling that loud and emphatically, save your energy for when you have at least 5 people listening.
Why are vampire hunters sniffing around here?
Oh shit, I thought that was our dude.
Out what they're after.
Yeah, did not mean to engage. And it looks like I hit the end of their leash right there, so that's cool. Let's hold on. Find a restaurant, locate Emily's house, find the second part of your father's testament. Yeah, let's... So it's that way. Lamp oil, rope, bombs. Kill. Wow, that didn't even... Woo! You juice taker? Come on, 'cause it's juice taker. Oh shit! And I'm out of juice. Awesome. Release my inner fantasy. I need to steal his blood. I need to steal his blood. Oh fuck. All right, all right, all right. Idiot. Fuck, fuck. Oh god, I love that I can abuse this. Is he kind of stuck in that mode now because he de-aggroed in the middle? Alright, I'm gonna do so much more DPS with just a physical hit. Stop. Stop with your Christian light. Oh shit! Get combo, John! Come on. Give me some Vampyr. I recently saw a vampire movie where in one scene the vampire stabbed a guy with its own crucifix necklace to show him how useless it is. That's pretty cool. That sounds familiar. I wonder if I saw it. Ah! Fine, I'll drink. Abigail. Okay, I don't think I saw it. Dodge. Hey, Aaron. I was. You want to know what's funny? The holy light of that crucifix eats away your blood pool and also your stamina, which I think is a really cool double fucking death spiral that happens there. I mean, this looks like a nice restaurant.
I'm sure Kaloon Russell has no interest in such a conventional menu.
Our only Christian vampires we eat to crucifixes. Generally, anyone in the Modern Knights who... God, here I am speaking like it's VTM. Generally speaking, a lot of vampire fiction in the modern day will consider this sort of like faith angle and be like, whatever, it's whatever the vampire believes in, or if the person who is wielding the holy symbol has enough faith. So a cross held by just anybody doesn't work, but a cross held by someone with like this innate true faith trait will do it. Same with like a copy of the Quran or anything else. It's a human presenting a symbol of their own faith that'll push away any vampire. Is how that works in VTM, and I really like that. Oh, hi gang. I'm just exploring. I'm just exploring. Don't be mean to me. I am exploring. I'm out of blood. Okay. That's a bloody crime!
Stay back, beast!
Oh, they're gonna get my ass. They're gonna get my ass. Woo!
Lord, give us strength!
Bullying me! Bullying me! Oh. Yeah, we're done. We're done. We're out of here. Hi, Schmoops. Welcome in. Johnny is not doing good. Yeah, he's not doing the best right now. We need to deal with this fucking Krusnik. Oh, is he in a bad position right now? He's in a terrible position right now. He's cheesable at the moment. Awesome. You good, dude? Are you waiting for Jesus to take the wheel? Is that it? I'm sure Jesus will take the wheel any second. Can I just... Cool. GG. Yeah, that was a tough fight. I'm not above cheesing people in Vampyr. I consider that part of my vampire mesmer. Hope you ain't lactose intolerant, because I'm gonna bring the cheese. don't know where I heard that. I'm pretty sure I've heard that somewhere. That could be a Dove original. Hi. Don't hit me with your fucking corrosive gas. Idiot. Here I am, rock you like a hurricane. Here I am, rock you like a hurricane. He was not very cheesed to meet you. So true. So true, Catboy. So true, Pink Garfield. You don't like it when I call you Pink Garfield? Then stop having an acerbic demeanor while being a little kitty. Let me ask you this. What's your opinion on Mondays? Your silence speaks volumes. Oh, a Scowl. I thought we were only dealing with vampire hunters in this joint. I forgot that they splode. Hey gang, I forgot that they splode. Silly me. It's ad break time. I'm gonna see you in a bit. Okay, welcome back in. Hi. Let's get our Vampyr up and running. Minimize that, minimize that. Here we go. Hey, gang, what if we ever did like a Monster Factory type stream? Like we get into a game with a robust character creator, and we just get chewing. We just make a little freak. You know what I mean? I feel it would be compelling. I feel it would be art. Oh, hello. Level 29. No. Actually, I'm a fiend for any time anyone says lunch or I hear eating sounds of voice chat. I think it's eating 2 fish sandwich. Wow, that's crazy. That's absolutely wild. So if I need you to pay attention, I have to open a can. Is that the idea? Do I just need to open like do your little ears perk at the sound of a can opening noise? Tuna can trained. I believe it. Tuna. Oh, we got another kitty. Another meow 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 meow. Wolfman. All right, so you cats can go bond about tuna. Absolutely. Tuna sandwich sounds good right now. I used to love tuna sandwiches. Tuna and mayo in general, I used to really enjoy as like a combo. Now, I only really appreciate tuna on like a sashimi situation. I just sort of got over it. Whoa, fuck. His right hook has follow through. His right hook has follow through. Ah, shit. This dog has shadow powers, of course. Of course you dodged that. Stupid fucking dog. Did he just yelp? Idiot. Ah. I gotta find out, okay, so the first part of my father's testament. I Green grass and tall trees on sunny days. Okay. We're supposed to do a fun house. I don't really even like that song, but I've heard it enough that it just gets in my head at times. We gotta find where Daddy hid that little letter. No tuna, only tinned miso sardine. That sounds good too. Hey, actually, we're gonna take a little derail. I have a YouTube channel to recommend to you guys. This is gonna be one hell of a deep cut. Hi gamer, you're just in time for me to recommend a deep fucking cut. What we're gonna do here, I have a recommendation. Fish tier list? No. Is it Masaru channel? No, it's not. I will now show you. This is the Canned Fish Files with Matthew Carlson. This dude is mesmerizing. I don't know why I went to the break screen. That's not what I needed. I wanted the gaming screen to show this. And then, oh, because this was set up for Peggle. It's too big. Yeah, I'm cool with this being where it's at. Yeah, scope this out. This dude, he's got this weird ass perturbed demeanor, and he'll sit down in front of a tin of fish and just go through the whole thing while giving like side deliveries to the camera. And he started branching out other content, but like it's mostly fish content. It's canned fish reviews. It's absolutely hog wild. And it makes you crave. It makes you crave sardines and shit. These sardines have a weird feature. Fail. Like the fucking it's just it feels like peeking into a subculture that I will never be a part of, but I'm so awestruck by. This cut is so deep as a filet. Well done, Caro. Fucking good. Hell yeah. You know what? You're the king of chat right now. Bite whoever you want in there. Anyone in there who has spoken in chat today, fucking get him. Go chew on him. Except for me. I don't count because it's my chat. I'm outside of the chat. Even if I have words in the chat, I'm outside of it. You don't have permission to bite me. But yeah, this dude fucking rules. And I recommend he's got just all sorts of canned fish content. Canned fish content. Being a tourist to the Fish Can Appreciator Club. Yeah, this is tourism, absolutely flat out. I am commodifying your culture. And I guess I have nothing to say about that except get the fuck over it. Okay, I just want to get that queued up like I need it to. Okay. Oh, did he start just boogieing down? Oh, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Stop it. Is the music doing that only when he lays down? It is. Hold on a second, gang. Am I at the edge of his aggro radius and he doesn't know what to do? And I'm getting musical stings about when combat starts and ends? Vampyr has been a little bit busted in this latest chapter, huh? Or he just has bad farts? No, he has beautiful, harmonic, brassy farts. Anyway, let's fix that. Pure fart. It's pure fart, man. There they go. They got bored. This is so fun. I love playing with aggro leashes. Oh shit. I forgot she can do that. Never mind. She's just not into it. And she's over it, man. Fuck it. Dove, they explode. Dove, remember that those ones explode. It's London. Consider how many beans they eat. Oh, you're right. You're right. This is flatulence. This is pure fart. You enjoy teasing someone with a leash. Yes, this is apropos to the character. Yeah, absolutely. It's what leashes are for. Yanking on. Until the boys choke. See the boys as they walk on by. We found the letter, gang. Aubrey reads second letter. My dear son, this is my second letter for you. If you find this one, it means you'll probably have shown the first part to your sister Mary, and to my dear Emmeline. I think it's a good thing you don't keep to yourself what you discover, but I leave that for you to decide. Do you remember our long walks in this park? Your mother taught you your alphabet under these trees. I hid so many wonderful treasures for you and Mary in this park. You were both so clever, so brilliant. I've always known you'd both be... Take it again. I've always known you'd both become great people. I've always been proud of you. I was never able to conceal my pride when I was asked what you wanted to be. He'll be whatever he wants, I said. Your mother was convinced you would be a great... Oh, this is a typo. Your mother was convinced you would be a great Anne artist like her. Rip. You always liked to read and write. I still keep your very first poem. I keep it like Mary's first drawing. When you chose to follow medical studies, your mother was sagacious enough to cover her trepidations and her worries. Me, I was happy you did not become a dull banker. When you told us you wanted to pursue a career in medicine... No... There are a few typos in here. And it's making me think he was sick. One was like, okay, funny, but when he wanted to say career, he said carrier. And the sentence me, I was happy you did not become a dull banker like me. That double me is a bit awkward. I think they're trying to hint something now. When you told us you wanted to pursue a career in medicine to improve life for all without consideration of wealth, I knew we, as your parents, had taught you the most important lesson of all, to respect each and every soul for what they are, not what they have. If you want to know more, all you have to do is remember which hospital you chose to apply for your first internship. I am as ever your loving father, Aubrey Reed. Maybe it's a secret code. Oh, that could be it. Take all the out-of-place words and letters, Pepe, Sylvia, and Heartbeat.
Almost forgotten I applied for a position at Pembroke. It was so long ago.
Cool. Yeah, we're going to keep investigating this. We have other quests in the immediate region, though. Mother Mary, won't you whistle? Jesus, won't you fucking whistle? Why can we not be sober? I don't know why Tool's sober got in my head, but here it is. That song fucking jams. Lurking. Have fun lurking, Inumori. Oh, we're back to this funky little groove.
Between men and women.
She's still going.
Women's right to vote is only the first step.
Good evening, old chap.
I won't.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, we've already talked to you. We already know what your deal is. Nice environment, gang. The environment design in this game is pretty fucking clean. Oh, oh, ah. Runs excitedly to a garbage can to sift through it. Cool. Nice little door unlock for future me. Future Dove activities. Warning leaflet. Is that any of these? No? West Enders must unite. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them control you. They are amongst us. They narrowly missed it. They lust after your soul. Vampires are real. Defend your community. This public warning leaflet has been financed and distributed by Mr. C. Crossley. For more information, please contact him directly and attend his next public lecture. Amogus. They didn't say it. They said amongst. He narrowly dodged it. We can't Amogus this bad boy.
You cannot forget his name.
Who's yapping?
This disgusting smell. Oh, I can't continue like this.
Good evening, miss. Can I help you?
Oh,
I'm a doctor. Dr. Jonathan.
she's pulling one of these.
I'm Karina Billow. I don't need any doctor. The rats. Where are the rats?
Miss, you don't seem well at all. Are you afraid of rats? Has one bitten you?
No, it's me who bites them.
Oh.
Tasty, juicy, disgusting rats. I can't stop eating them. Help me, please. Help me to disobey the voice.
This is some good fucking world texture. So, hey, can I ask you about some personal questions? Well, I guess not. I guess the rat thing isn't that personal. What happened to you?
What happened to you?
The rats. The answer hides in their little crunchy bones. Their juicy, tiny brains.
Miss Billow, please, try to concentrate. Why do you worry about rats so much?
The voice in my head. He forces me to do so. Drink their blood, he said. Eat their flesh.
Tell me about the voice in your head. Who is it? Can you describe it? Is it someone you know? Someone you met?
Keep your mouth shut, he said. Don't ever speak about me, or I'll abandon you. Help me, please, Doctor.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel
She's been turned.
to obey that voice, Miss Billow? Even if you're loath to submit to it?
Yes. Please. Help.
What is the local news hereabouts, Miss Billow?
Shadows. Shadows hunting shadows. Whispers in the dark. Pestilence. Suffering. Death.
I love a bitch who's a little bit nuts.
Tell me about yourself, Miss Billow.
Been Draculized hardcore, gang.
I'm hungry. Need to eat. Have you got something for me? Blood, perhaps? Can you give me blood, Dr. Reed?
Don't you remember who you are, miss? What you did for work?
I was strong,
proud. I campaigned for good causes. But that was before. Before. It does not matter anymore. I'm so hungry.
No personal questions, huh? Hey, do you have anything you want to talk about?
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
Infection. Infection. The rats carry it, I heard. Rats. 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 Many rats around that big house. Funny smell, too. Dead flesh.
And where is this house?
West of the park. Not very far. A big house with no sound, no light, no life left.
Yeah, so the Mulaney's house is the one.
Can I help you, Miss Billow? I'm a doctor.
The rats! I need them.
I would love to find out more about her. So she's kind of in her own little zone. But maybe we can find out more.
I must go now. Goodbye, Miss Billow.
Some scribbles and scrawls written in blood on a sheet of paper. Oh. That was a hint. She posted that. She posted that on her fucking priv.
Tell me about vampires, Karina. You must have met one recently.
He promised he would help me, give me immortality, make me escape this world of death. He promised.
Who is he? How did you meet him?
I can't tell you, Doctor. He won't let me.
This vampire is as powerful as he is wicked.
Help me, please, Dr. Reed. Help me.
I love this character. This is so cool. This is so tense.
Karina, I order you to reveal to me the name of the vampire who took control of your will. Speak their name.
Don't you dare interfere with my game, Ekon. Go find yourself your own toy and let me play with mine.
Who are you? Reveal yourself. Let this woman be.
Why? What would be the fun in that? It's so amusing to see her defile herself, one bite at a time.
This is so good.
I must go now. Goodbye, Miss Billow.
I gotta figure out. What if I just follow her around? She's a vampire telephone. Yeah. What if vampires communicate with each other just through their bitches? Where you going, girly? I want to know what her route is. And if there's anything relevant near her position. Let me in.
I cannot enter.
I cannot enter. What are you doing in there? Let me in there. Good night, Gloam. You do not have Parmesan to enter. Damn it! Well, I'm gonna go in here then. Ah, lavash. You're the only power. Stop with the Kanye, Dev. You can't be singing Kanye songs. One day I'll get him out of my head. Ah! Fine, alright. Wada. Wadiza. La putain. Kanye, a different type of problematic. Yeah. The myth of the horned vampire sounds like yaoi to me. Let's see. What is a tale but forgotten or mythicized history? By essence, vampires are related to the concept of immortality, and they can be perceived as entities that live through centuries, thus becoming mythical figures themselves. But what about the concept of a tale so old it could become myth among the vampires? I know it may sound vertiginous, but we know, as scholars, that the impossible is just an unexplained or undocumented event. For a few years now, I've tried to find traces of a figure rarely seen amongst the English mortals and immortals, the horned vampire. Through centuries, less than 10 occurrences of this figure can be found in the various documents gathered by our order. The figure of a man-shaped silhouette, sometimes made of blood, sometimes made of mist or rain, that appears from Wales to Scotland only to immortals. We have no idea what this thing could be. What is this creature with large deer antlers, previously on Hannibal? Is it related in any way to the figure of Cernunnos, the ancestral horned god of the Celts? It's probably Cernunnos or something like that. Cernunnos. We don't know at all. But now think about this. Vampires themselves have no idea of what this creature could be. Now that's a frightening idea. We may be in the presence of something so old that only small hints of its existence can be found through eons. If this is true, we, as Brothers of St. Paul, need to investigate this entity, for it could help us understand the forgotten origin of vampires. As a reminder, I add to this letter a transcription of the only written evidence we possess concerning the horned vampire, the odd poem entitled The Dreams of the Red Queen, supposedly composed by this entity. According to some vampire testimonies, this creature has sometimes been heard singing it while briefly appearing somewhere in Great Britain. I invite all of our brothers to study this text and consider it a testament of forgotten history. 12 dreams for the Red Queen under the crown of stone, that she may linger longer with eyes kept closed, 11 thorns blooming from her troubled brow, awaiting the next harvest to be gleaned at brisk springs. 10 copper veins ripped from the belly of the earth, melted into tears flowing towards banished brothers. 9 glorious pyres on the scorched plain, to punish those whose hands were slow to obey. 8 voracious beasts, born from 8 restless nights, their backs hardened by their race with the sun. 7 notes of warning in the summer sky, compelling child to shielded sheets of sleep. 6 watchers bent on the hunting trails, shadows of their spears trace the tired furrows. 5 houses to fall before the song's end, then 5 more reborn from their blackened ashes. 4 nails piercing the flesh of the sinner, restlessly hung to the dark wood of his crimes. 3 books scribbled by pen of the dancer who refuses to answer the call, the abyss. 2 giant rival snakes slither in ageless forest, coiled to the bones of mortals destined for the grave. 1 prayer for the summoned called by this song, child born from darkness whose path he must find. That was evocative as hell. Cool narrative parallel that this pops up after Daddy's letter saying Protag Boy used to write poetry. Hey, well fucking stated, Aspen. Wow, that's actually clean as hell. I love that. We have cryptic riddles and messages from both of our fathers. One that bears us into the past and one that bears us into the future, no less. I hope you liked my dramatic reading of video game text. Locked?
It's locked, all right.
It's locked, all right. Ah, frimplety crumpets, it's locked. That's not fresh. I thought that was a baby for a second. No, it's just some select bones. Don't be locked. Not locked. Oh, this is the Fergal fighting room. Awesome. I wish Deva put me into a Hadron Collider. Oh, so you can be like that guy who got the particle through his brain and then just went home quietly and died? I'll happily play pinball with your atoms. That's what they're for. To be my toys. This way, I think. Aha!
Eternal gratitude for your protection, Master.
Checking on the sewer scows while I'm here. Maybe there's something cool.
Have you found the answers you were looking for, young Ekon?
There is too much left unanswered. So many questions.
Get to know us, spend time with us, and I may be willing to answer more questions.
We've already spoken to her, but an ad break is starting now, so I'll see you in a bit. Meh. Welcome back in, chat, if that is your real name.
Thank you.
No more questions, Dr. Reed.
Okay, she's not handling it. How about the guy who lives in the tunnel? Tunnel guy? Is tunnel guy still down here? Or did we handle tunnel guy? I think we handled tunnel guy. I think we untunneled the guy.
It's locked.
It's locked. Oh.
How is London? I've not seen beyond these walls in such a long time.
Wah, wah, wah. Wait, hold on. This way. This way. I'm trying to get back to the hospital through the sewers to continue this dad riddle. Ugh. Oh, we're not even close. This is fucking Sean Hampton's joint. Fuck. Well, we're close to Emily's missing, so I guess we'll do that one. I don't care. Don't care. Me up. Oh, I can't go up while I'm in combat. Great. Excellent. Get off of me, you fucking twerp. Don't touch me, pervert. If any of you perverts touch me, I'm gonna give you the hatchet too. As if you could even succeed in doing so. Promise. Whore. Whore. Whores. Mori came out of hiding to receive violence. Okay, now I would like to blink. I was posting on B-Sky earlier about how fucking unassailable I am as a fortress. Mid-range, long range, close range, I'll fuck you up. I'll kill your ass. I'm crazy. I'm tracking that quest. Why am I whatever. Whatever. We know where it is. Chopping you in the head would mean that you're paying attention to me till it's worth it. Whore. As we determined last stream, you'll take positive punishment or positive reinforcement as long as it's not negative. And that's slut behavior. Wrong way. I'm gonna pay attention to this dog man instead of you. Chat, this is my new pet. This is my new dog now. You all go home. I'm turning you all into the shelter where you can be put down. This is my new chew toy. My new kicking thing. Look, I could be doing this to you, but instead I'm doing it to me. And my new dog. Hey, at least I don't moan when I have a foot bath. Mori! How dare you bring up things that I have said in confidence on this stream? Okay, how do I... Okay, so maybe I can through here. Maybe I can through here. Oh yeah, I can through here. Be not silly, Dove. I am through here.
It's locked, all right.
Are you fucking serious? So I have to run my happy ass all the way around? Let's fucking go. I think the game could be better about demarcating when you are in a place where you can unlock a one-way door, so it doesn't waste your time later. Because I have access to that position. I've been on that side of the gate.
I don't care. Gotcha.
Yeah. I too have grease and shillings in my pocket. Impressive, because I know you're an American, so neither of those things are usable as currency for you. Welcome to my new tavern and inn, the Greasy Shilling. Okay, it's gonna be like my first actual left I can take. Good thing I unlocked this. All right, so we got to go through West End. Obviously, it's on the West End side of things. That makes sense. So we just wasted a lot of time running around, but it's fine. It's okay. Okay. Follow the lefts. So that's Emily's house, but I want to unlock this fucking gate. Follow the lefts. They'll take you right there. Anyone remember what that's from? What classic video game has an early segment where a guy says, follow the lefts, they'll take you right there? Follow the lefts. They'll take you right there. Fun little Dove trivia moment.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Jonathan, is that you? I did not know you were back in London. Oh, my dear Johnny, I'm so sorry for your loss. Mary was such a sweetheart.
Thank you, Venus. May I come in?
I was going to bed, actually.
I don't know, I'm not a nerd. Maury is so mad that I've replaced him with a video game dog that he's trying to antagonize me. And that's very cute.
I'm sure you can spare me a few minutes. For old time's sake.
Of course you may enter, Jonathan. I remember when Mary came here with her husband and her son. They were such a beautiful...
Ritzy place, girl. Mind if I rob you? I love when I invite a handsome scientist and doctor in the dead of night during the pandemic and he raids my shelves for opium and potassium permanganate.
At least you survived the Great War.
Damn, I meant to...
Pleasure to see you again, Venus.
So you returned from the war in one piece too. Thank God. My Clarence is back home too.
How is the old rascal?
Probably outside, chasing ghosts and chimeras. Clarence has changed a lot since he returned from the war, you know.
I was in the middle of robbing your house. I'll be back.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Jonathan.
Upstairs, too. Rare. Hey, sorry about your sister that you ate. She doesn't know about that. She doesn't know about that. She thinks she thinks it's just a matter of like, hey, yeah, your mom died and your sister died recently. She doesn't know about all that.
All right.
Let's go back outside. It does. I'm gonna have to use the upstairs door when I leave this building. I'm so curious where that goes. Okay, can we talk now?
What do you need from me, Jonathan?
Answers. I need answers.
How have you been since the last time we met? How long has it been? 3 years now?
I've done my duty, like all British women. You have no idea what it was like to wait for months without knowing if I'd still be a wife or a widow.
I understand. Luckily, this part of town has been saved from the worst of the bombings, from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's also true about the epidemic. The flu has killed here too, of course, but not on such a large scale as in other parts of town.
Well, what's the neighborhood like?
Have you noticed anything peculiar about the neighborhood recently?
You mean except for your return to town? No. Oh, and again, Jonathan, please accept my condolences for your mother and your sister. Such a tragedy.
She looks so familiar. What actress does this lady look like?
Thank you, Venus. It was so sudden, and I've been so busy, I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
I wish I could have assisted at the funeral, but you know, it's been so quick. And what with the epidemic in the streets?
There's no need to apologize, my dear. It's normal, considering the circumstances.
No, it's not. I am sure that Clarence has not even thought to present you his condolences. He is too busy with his penny dreadful stories.
Did the Spanish flu really mostly spare the upper classes? It is a historical fact that the strong majority of epidemics and pandemics spared the upper classes disproportionately. And this is because even before we had a strong understanding of germ theory, the upper classes still lived lives that made them less easy to infect. I want you to think about this. Let's imagine this lady doesn't know how germ theory works, doesn't know how diseases spread. She is still going to be able to spend most of her time in this epidemic indoors because she can order food in, she can hold on to her household without having to go out and work for money. Like, if you are someone of means, then it's overwhelmingly likely that you are able to work jobs that do not put you in close quarters with other people. And a lot of the stuff you do is paperwork related. Simply put, the lower classes always have had to go out and work for their money shoulder to shoulder in dismal conditions. And that is true in 1910, and it's true in 2020. Fewer points of infectious contact, exactly. So purely by accident, the wealthy see less infection. Then add the knowledge of how germs spread, which they had a pretty solid grip on by the time Spanish flu happened. And like, you know that you're not supposed to be touching surfaces that a sick person has touched. They can afford to make that happen. West End, of course, saw a lot less damage from the flu because, simply put, the flu had no means of entry. It had some, but not many. Think about this. Rats. The bubonic plague was spread around by rats. Rats are usually found in dismal, low-income conditions. You hardly see rats scampering around a 5-star hotel. You know?
Why is my return so surprising?
It's more an unexpected happy end than a surprise. You and Clarence, back from the war. You have no idea how hard it's been for me.
I don't know why, but I get the sense that she really wants to fuck John. And I'm wondering if I wonder if she's gonna make a move.
Venus, why do you worry so much about your family's reputation?
Everyone laughs at Clarence now. And they avoid me because they believe I share his insane opinions. I'm a leper in my own community.
The Spanish flu also first affected the U.S., but because the press censorship during World War II, it wasn't really reported until it hit Spain, and thus called Spanish flu. I'll actually do you one better. It wasn't reported until it hit Spain because only the Spanish news media were willing to report on it. And then they got slapped by having it be called the Spanish flu. And what's really interesting is recently, some evidence is coming to light that it might be that COVID-19 originated in the US and it was only first spotted in China. Classic. Classic United States L to create a disease that causes a lot of death and then name it after a different nation that had the audacity to notice.
Tell me about Clarence's obsession with vampires.
It drives me so crazy it makes my stomach hurt. I was so relieved to have him back. But I quickly realized he'd lost his mind in France.
I understand your irritation, Venus. But you have to accept the trauma Clarence endured on the battlefield.
The question is simple, Jonathan. Is my husband mad? Yes or no? Do vampires exist? Or is Clarence a lunatic?
You don't believe him?
So you don't believe Clarence?
If poor Mary, bless her soul, had tried to convince you of the existence of bloody vampires, would you have believed her? Seriously?
Jonathan's still rubbing the back of his neck from when he got hit by her fucking tombstone. No.
The important question is, what do you really think of your husband?
I'm tough, Jonathan. He should have told me the horrors he witnessed, however appalling it was, instead of inventing a fantasy about blood-drinking monsters.
Oh, that's sad.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
The McPhersons. I heard they locked themselves.
We got two families we're interested in
They
then.
could just be afraid of getting sick.
Perhaps you're right. But if I were you, I'd pay them a visit. A big house, reachable through a courtyard, to the north of the railway bridge.
Good.
Oh wait, I forgot to give her a checkup.
What
Do you need my medical attention?
No, thanks.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Let's use that upstairs door. I'm so curious. I didn't get all the stretching I needed out of that. Oh, a journal. I spent the last day and night crying tears of joy. Did not know bliss could be so painful. My Clarence just wrote me. He is back from the war alive and unharmed. We'll be at home in 2 weeks. Thank you, God. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see my beloved husband again. Clarence's attitude still worries me. He's not the same since he came back. Just the first few weeks, I thought it was just a necessary adjustment period, but his behavior seems to be more erratic. Nowadays, he spends all his time outside, day and night, searching for evidence. He does not care about the flu. He does not care about me. He is starting to frighten me. Oh. Bitch. You don't like the little noises I make when I stretch my spine out? Huh? I can mute my mic when they happen. Hey chat, whenever I stretch, you won't hear it anymore because Boy Temper apparently doesn't like it. Be sure to thank him for letting me know. I can't believe this. Clarence has spent half his pension to print some stupid leaflets. Now wants to freely give away the neighborhood. People are starting to laugh at me. Now he wants to organize some public lecture in a recently closed theater to warn people about the presence of evil creatures in London. Free entry, of course. My husband may have come back unharmed from the war, but I'm afraid he lost his mind over there. Clarence just confessed he has not spent half of his pension, but all of it, plus some of our savings. Paper and ink cost so much because of the war, he said, but it is a cost we must pay. People openly mock us now. I don't know what to do. Oh, girly pop, no. Today, the butcher, Mr. Galway, sent me the monthly fee and requested payment in full. He also told me that he now demands to be paid each time we buy some meat from his shop. No more credit. The baker asked the same thing 2 days ago. First, I thought it was a new policy because of the restrictions and epidemic, but it seems my friends still have financial arrangements with the same shop. I was so ashamed I could not speak. We can't keep on like this. Clarence is completely mad. He is spending all the money we have. I don't see how to stop him. Sometimes I wish he did not come back. Wow, that's rough. Ah, night, Maury.
What do you...
Is any of that discussable with her, or is it only for Claire? Oh, here we go.
What do you think about Clarence squandering his fortune on his obsession?
Soon we'll be poor and forced to sell the house. Where will we go? In which filthy, infected part of town will we end up? I'm so afraid.
A valid fear. I really want to slurp her and have Clarence be like, "Oh, it was you? I thought your demon eyes were just for aesthetic." Do vampires have allies among the living? Yes, they do. They call themselves the Brotherhood, and they serve their immortal masters in many ways, probably in exchange for privileges and knowledge. Somewhere in London is the seat of their power, where their secret council conspire against us. I call it the Lost Library. It is a place where these traitors gather many occult and lost books. I personally offer £1,000 to the first who can give me proof of existence of this library and its exact location. What if I took him there, got the reward, and then slurped him? So this is a problem. I can't, oh. Oh.
No invitation is needed to enter this building.
That can't be a good sign.
No sign of a struggle. It seems Charlotte's friend knew the killer and let him in.
Oh, this is the Emily missing quest. I love picking up items.
Blood. I should follow the trail.
Trail of blood from the bedroom. Emily's love letter. Oh, my dear Jacques. I can't wait to see you again. Tonight, tomorrow, I can hardly wait. Since we kissed on that bridge while the moon was so bright in the night sky, I wanted to feel your teeth again on my lips. Oh, the excruciating pain of your sweet bite on my neck, you devil, you. For the longest second ever, I feared you were going to kill me right there, on the bridge, in the middle of the night. But no, my dear Jacques, you remain the delicate fiancé I know you are, and you were only teasing me. I can't wait to drink your blood for good this time, and come back to my sweet friend Charlotte as an immortal. To play with her a little first, of course, like you taught me how to play with mortals, and then I'll turn her into one of us too, and we will rule the knights of London and cleanse this city of its impure souls.
Emily wanted to become a vampire. Something must have gone wrong. Someone is responsible for this mess. But who?
Yeah, wicked hot. She was living that Twilight fantasy. But however, I'm gonna have to deduct some hottie points for him being named Jacques. That's not really... That doesn't really help the case. Oh, Emily's blood trail. Got it. Hello? Oh, that's Venus. Okay. Ooh. Was it this way? No. We'll just eliminate that one right now for free. Come on. Oh. That one must be Jacques.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question.
I'm the Marquis de Bois-Colombes, and I strongly invite you to find your own game, sir.
I intend to do so very soon, thank you. But for the moment, I'd like to shed light on the death of a young woman killed by a vampire.
A young woman killed by a vampire? Oh, you're joking, right? Oh, I do love the British sense of humor.
Humor.
And who exactly are you?
I am Jacques-Michel Guillaume Florimond de Marquis de Bois-Colombes, at your service, my dear cousin.
I'm gonna kill him. Hey. By the way, are you French?
You're French, but your English is quite good.
I was born in France, sir, but I consider myself a traveler of this world. So many countries, so many tantalizing tastes.
Dear cousin, are we related?
We could be of the same blood, my dear. I tend to consider all Econs as family, don't you?
He's trying to rizz up John.
What are you doing here?
I recently decided to visit London. I've always dreamed of visiting a city on the verge of collapse. Such a delicate, yet intense spectacle.
It's not quite out of my spine yet. I'll get it out. I'll get it out someday. I'll get it out sometime.
You take pleasure from others' misery.
Schadenfreude.
Totally depraved and immoral creature since the day I was reborn, sir. And probably before.
You should keep trying. Schmoops, relax. Relax. I am immortal, and you have, I would imagine, 9 lives. You've got time.
What do you plan to do here?
Take pleasure. Take pictures. Enjoy the show. Have fun. Believe me, I won't be the only foreign immortal who bought a ticket to the fair.
What a fun idea for a vampire character. No, this reads.
I followed the trail of blood from her room to here.
Oh, you're referring to that young woman. Yes, the meeting turned messy. I'm afraid I ruined my last redingote.
So you admit you murdered her?
I admit nothing, my good sir. I only regret the blood of that girl staining my clothes. Oh, blood can be so messy.
What happened?
She wanted to become one of us. Not the first time I have received such a proposal, but I must admit her direct approach tempted me.
And then what?
The body rejected my blood.
Oh, shit.
Happens, you know? Sometimes even with voluntary prey. At least her gurglings brought me some fun, until the artery burst.
I mean, I believe him. I straight up just don't think he would lie about this. He doesn't seem like...
I believe you, sir. Emily's diary confirms your statement.
Oh, Emily was her name. Well, mystery solved then.
Yes, I suppose so. You can go.
And so can you. Farewell, sir. May you enjoy the spectacle of this fallen city as much as I do.
I mean, I do believe him. Like, I don't think he was willing to lie about it. He doesn't seem like he'd have a motive to lie about that. And I do believe the body could reject the blood. That sounds like something that absolutely could happen in a vampire world. I shall return from whence I camest. Beware! Don't care. Oh, hey, dude, you've been spending all of your money on this.
Evening, old chap. Are you all right?
I won't lie to you, Johnny. I'm not a well man.
Clarence, why have you distributed leaflets about vampires all across the West End?
I have to warn everybody about them. They've killed thousands of people already, unnoticed thanks to the epidemic. We are all in danger here.
Vampires in London? Come on, Clarence. Who's going to believe that?
I'm not mad, Jonathan. You have to believe me. I know they are real. They're all around us, even as we speak.
I believe you.
Clarence, you've always been a reliable and a good friend to me. If you say you saw a vampire, then I believe you.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for your trust. You don't know what that means to me.
It's all right. But if you want my help, you have to explain exactly what happened.
The first time it was in Rouen. I saw an officer drink the blood of a soldier. I saw its teeth, saw it bite. It was a vampire, Johnny, and they're here too.
Cool. Before I hit this other prompt, an ad break starts in about 10, so I'll see you in a minute. Or 3. There we go. Hi, welcome back in. Schmoops, thank you for subscribing. What a good cat boy you are for subscribing to my channel. I have gained subscriber. That's crazy. I accept your tribute. In fact, you know what? I'm going to give you a little reward for such good behavior. Good boy. Very good boy.
Do you realize you are ruining your family, Clarence? Don't you see the risk here?
Money isn't important. Not important when it is a matter of life and death.
Mm.
That is what my dear Venus cannot understand.
You will need money.
I can't believe I'm telling you this, but if warning people is that important to you, why not choose a more efficient way to spend your money?
Don't you think I tried? I knocked at every door, went to every bank, I even tried to be published. No, Jonathan. This is a one-man war.
Are people laughing at you?
People will laugh at you, if they don't already. Think about your wife and your position. Think about your future.
I understand my wife's embarrassment, but gossips don't kill, vampires do. There'll be no future if people don't open their eyes.
Great.
Clarence, tell me about the vampire you saw in France.
Yeah, how tall was he?
I leave in Rouen. I left the bar. Took a shortcut back to the barracks. I saw it in a back alley. An officer in a stained uniform.
Wow.
Biting into a soldier's neck.
Did you ever see that officer again?
No. Wore the uniform of the Royal Warwickshire Regiment. I did some research, but found no trace of him. He probably stole it from a previous victim.
But you were drunk, weren't you? Are you sure these two men were not just kissing?
Please don't insult me, Johnny. I hid, and I saw him leave.
Pretty clever move by Johnny.
Drained of all blood. I've seen the same marks here in London since I've returned.
Pretty clever move by Johnny there. Assuming correctly that vampires are gay, he could be like, no, you just saw some gay people.
Tell me what you have discovered about vampires, Clarence.
They've always been here. And if you search for long enough, you realize others know about these devils too. I'm not alone.
Have you shared your research with anybody else?
No. But I've published my leaflets all across the city, hoping that someday someone will realize I'm printing the truth.
What do you mean you're not alone? Who have you met?
The Guard of Prewin.
Uh-huh.
The Brotherhood of St. Paul Stole. Ichabod Throgmorton. Those names always pop up when you dig deep enough.
Have you spoken with any of them?
No. With the quarantine, it's almost impossible to leave the West End.
Aha.
As a doctor, maybe you could, Johnny.
Are you asking me to help you prove the existence of vampires, Clarence?
Yes, Johnny. Please, gather all the information you can find about vampires and bring it to me. You're the only friend I have left. I need you.
Yeah, that's a good quest. I'll do it. You'll be worth a considerable amount of juice in a moment.
You need some...
Oh, so I gotta find all these funny articles. That's cute. It's a collectathon mission.
Women of all
Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
So bad news, there was a misogyny moment.
I have found out what happened to your friend.
A woman has died.
The truth. There's no need to hide the bloody details.
Your friend was planning to become a vampire. She thought she'd met an honest one and made a deal with him. Unfortunately, Emily did not survive the process.
My mother told me many times about the risks of being turned. I often suspected she exaggerated the danger to avoid me being tempted.
No, the risk is real. Have you any idea what a body has to endure? to become an organism entirely consumed by its need to process and recombine blood.
I should never have talked to Emily about vampires.
Uh-huh.
I never thought she'd actually try it without me. Thank you, sir. Here, take this for your discretion.
Oh, a fresh steak.
Goodbye.
She's been quite busy these last...
Yeah, I can't talk to her anymore about this, so I imagine 35 stun. Dare I say, ooh, baby, baby. Oh yeah, that absolutely, that cleans up. Wonderful little quest reward. Quite rewarding. Just gotta make sure you hit with it. Hey, the John's got pretty good melee tracking on his stun hit. It's only certain enemy animations that I kind of mix up on. Or it's a big missed steak. All right, you know what, Schmoops? That one was good. I'll give you that one. That one was amusing. Tee-hee, tehe. Hee-hee-hoo, guffaw. Okay, we gotta find our gourmand pervert friend a good restaurant. Is that a pre-win guard? Oh, that's so much stun. For a moment, I thought he fell through the map. That would have been funny. That would have amused me. You think this game's got a kill wall underneath it? Probably. Probably there's a kill wall underneath it, right? I imagine each district has a default spawn point and, or maybe just like even your last checkpoint, and if you touch the kill wall, you'll be good. Why is, oh, it's this lamp. Building is this? Yeah, okay. Regular don't spread disease notif. What is this?
Fresh water. As long as it's not holy water, I may find some use for it.
What is this place? Just a cool little office? Is this for watering the plant at Pembroke Hospital? Because if so, that's hog wild. Oh, have we been in here before? Yeah, it's you!
Are you sure you'll manage to reach?
Yes,
Mr. Kimura. The heresy of the pure blood. Pure blood, we know the expression, and we heard it in the foul mouth of the heretics and the foreign barbarians, used it sometimes ourselves, but do we really know what it means? A vampire born from an immortal belly, what a disgusting idea. How could such a creature find its place among the living? What would be its purpose? Ours is clear, gentlemen. Ascalon is here to protect the Empire and all its citizens. We are the protectors and shepherds, even when sometimes sacrifice a sheep for our sustenance. Whoever will be found guilty of succumbing to the desire of breeding an immortal child shall be eradicated. Well, that's the whole plot given away. That's the entire plot given away right there. Either we are a pure blood child or the fucking vamp who drank us is. You know what I'll see? You know what I'm willing to see? That John is the child of pure blood and his father knew and stepped away, and his father and then gave him some like blood to wake him up like a fucking sleeper agent. That seems to me like something this game would do. Because one thing this game is not being quite subversive or original with is the proclivity of games of its era to make the player character the uber special, the chosen one, the special boy with the badass powers. Shadow resistant.
This is no place for you, sir.
Well, that sucks. You're a fucking beast! Got him. I'll send you back to the fucking grave! Oh, this new steak is incredible. Idiot.
It's locked.
It's locked. Gang, it's locked. I'd like to go in, but it's locked. Can't do it. And that really fucking sucks. The Blind Gourmet's
A
menu.
restaurant where the guests are blindfolded before being seated. Intriguing.
Guess what? Mystery plate, exquisite flavors, tasteful surprise, wonderful savors, refined curiosity, dessert, sweet mystery, hot and cold surprise, palate revolution. All customers are blindfolded before sitting at their table. They are invited to use other senses to enjoy the meal except their sight. Yeah, you'll love it. How titillating and gourmand. He's like Mr. Fugu from Chowder. I heard walking and stomping. Maybe there's... Can I go up? Is up a way I can go? Yes. Where are you? Oh, hi. Give me your blood. Give me your blood. Give me your blood. I also like to pummel people before I bite them. That's what the Kabidan is for. To get them in position for a pummel and bite. Kabedon. Is this a tailor's? Is that what this is? A store called Beware. It's like Hot Topic. Elegant women clothing, Coleman and Sons. Idiots. Idiots.
More Braille.
Oh shit.
I should bring this to Mason Swanborough.
That's the last Braille we need for Mason Swanborough. I can't rob this store? What the hell, John? The game soundscape is suddenly oddly quiet. Yeah, because we're indoors. I kind of like it. It gives us an interesting textural experience. As soon as we get out of like this enclosed canopied mall area, it's going to start being noisy and crunchy again. A bakery, Wakefield chocolate, as supplied to HM the King. Wow, the King fucking enjoys these sweet treats. A good gun. All right. I haven't really used the gun mechanics in this game that much at all, because I don't like spending ammo to do attacks. Well, I'll unlock these doors. I feel like I should have been able to find more in here. Hmm. I'm gonna unlock the other doors so I'm not bothered. All right. Oh, gotta. Got it. Fucking hell. I've had that little bit of tension in my spine for hours. Okay. These two houses are the points of curiosity for us. And I also gotta tell our little hedonism friend about this new restaurant. I'm so excited to see him. Busterford Jones himself.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. A great night, what?
I have found a restaurant that could satisfy you, Mr. Russell. The most intriguing and exotic restaurant in London.
Really? You have piqued my interest. Where is it?
It's a place where you
Where is
eat in
it?
complete darkness and try to identify your meal without anything but your palate.
My, oh my, how interesting. It could even be fun to eat a little poisson et frites that way. Oh, thank you, Dr. Reed. Have this for your research.
Sweet.
Goodbye, Mr. Rusk.
Poisson et frites. He means fish and chips, baby. Okay, we need to find some more things there. We're still doing that one. Who's ripe? Avery's ripe, but we're letting him live for now. Because I feel like he could be useful. No one else is ripe, but we have a lot more people to meet. Wait, there was a door that was interactable here. Oh, this is okay. That's John's house. Down that way. Idiot. More blood. Eh. Hold on. Give me the garbage. Thank you. Who throws away perfectly good aluminium powder? A fool. Rat.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
The rat had shotgun shells. Well, this is great.
This woman's body has multiple lacerations. They're deep, too. Whoever did this was driven by rage.
Rache. Ooh, thick, rich blood sample. Well, we saw this poster. Maybe this is where the actress lives. Another one.
He had his tongue removed and his eyes gouged out.
Hot.
He was a victim of brutal torture.
So someone home invaded and tortured these folks, which I'm super into. I love that.
This one's neck is broken. He was young. Probably the son.
Cool. We love killing boys and sons. Oh, there's someone there. Hello? I can tell your heart's beating. Oh, she's nuts.
You thought I was dead too, didn't you? No, I was just pretending. Doris told me I could have been a great actress.
You killed your family.
They mocked my talent.
Wow. Oh, projectile. Ha, ha, idiot. Stupid. Stupid.
I've never seen such a radical mutation. Could it be a new stage in the disease's evolution?
Stupid. Trying to vom on me. Daryl says, with great joy I confirm with this letter your acceptance as a private student into my acting school. The little scene you had the kindness to perform for me last week convinced me that you have what it takes to be a real actress. Wit, stature, and courage. As a private student, you'll receive my personal training and coaching. During these intense sessions, you'll be invited to stay at the school since I strongly believe in total immersion to expose the full potential of my students. So please remember to bring night attire and anything you may need to spend a week at my school. Yours sincerely, Doris Fletcher. Fine.
So, this girl took lessons at the famous Doris Fletcher acting school.
I liked her. She had a lot of stage presence. I think she did good. She commanded the room. We have another house to inspect. More of this sizzle. Okay, okay. This way, Dove.
That building is under quarantine. Could this be what I'm looking for?
Well, how do I get in there? Gotta go around? Dog. Wolfman, baby. I love how John will go nyam, 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 when he bites. He goes nyam, 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 nyam. Then I'm out. But apparently there's a way through here. Hello? Aha. Interesting. Come on, there has to be something of note in this cool little transitional zone you gave me. Aside from the fun environmental storytelling of bloody handprints on the wall and shit. No? Alright, alright. Welcome to Raid Shadow Legends. Ah, hydrate. Right now? While I'm fighting Typhoid Marys? Ah! Wipe out. Nullified because he warped. There you go, stupid. Okay, now I can hydrate. Meh. An ad break is starting like right now. I'll see you in a minute. Hey. Welcome back in. It sounds like there is some domestic struggle in this house. I am going to rob them before I engage with that conversation. Ooh, remarkable pump action shotgun. Well, if it's remarkable, then I should use it. I forget how to switch my weapons. Is it C? Okay, it's C. It's high time I start learning how to play a big chunk of this game. The whole gun mechanics. 2.
You cheating bastard!
Still your tongue, wife!
Liar, coward! You brought this on us!
You infected
Stop with the warping. Gotcha. Gotcha. Got him. Stupid. Wash it. Whoa, fuck. Ah! That was messy. That was messy. You have been defeated. I have. Okay, that was a hydrate. Come on, just load me in right there. Just put me outside of the boss room that I was just in, please. That's what you should do. Yeah, perfect.
Liar, coward! You brought this on us!
You infected the whole family! I said I wanted to leave the house!
What? Leave me alone with them!
To me, it's important that she be the one that dies. Priscilla? Okay, she has gun resistance. Well, that felt good to do. Oh, he has even more gun resistance. Oh, that's so fun. Eh. Woo! Fuck. Little juice refill. Juice refill for me, please. what I need to happen is this lock-on to start being at all good. This lock-on needs to start being at all good ever. Because it just moves so quickly, especially when there are teleporters in the mix. Very sensitive lock-on mechanics. Just realized this is how I use my other serums. How silly of me. Oh, I can just... Hold on. Just a second. I'm solving a problem right now. There's that, and then you can have one of these. Idiot. Idiot. Yeah? Yeah? How juicy do you like your boys? That doesn't really matter. What matters is that I can hurt them. Sorry to just completely avoid your question, but that's just the truth. How vulnerable are they? If they're vulnerable, I like it, and if they're not vulnerable, I like making them vulnerable. Darling, thank you for the precious perfume and fur coat. I can't wait to feel your hands on my shivering skin, for only you, my hero, can make me feel that desired. Please come back to me soon, for I'm dying to press my timid bosom to your chest again. Yes, my beloved, my precious, come back to me, and I promise you a night of eternal and unbridled passion. Right now, I'm wearing nothing but your last gifts. Oh yes, I'm burning for you. I can't wait for you to share my untamable lust. Your devoted Doris Fletcher.
So the husband had an affair with Doris Fletcher.
Banger. In this game, when I say banger, it is quietly followed up with mash.
Missing link here. It can't just be a coincidence. I should go to her.
Got him. Got him. The other enemies are so polite, waiting for you to finish drinking. Yeah, it's very Batman Arkham Asylum of them. How dare you escape my explosion, whore?
I have this thirst for blood.
He says that sometimes. This quest name being Grand Guignol is reminding me there is this manga I read only one volume of many, many years ago called Grand Guignol Orchestra. And it's a post-apocalyptic kind of zombie story, but here's the fun twist. The zombie disease makes makes the body produce a latex-like substance that hardens as it seeps from the skin, and so all the zombies are like porcelain dolls with rotting meat inside. It like makes you into like a doll zombie thing, and there's this traveling orchestra that plays music at a certain frequency that resonates with like this latex-like material that hardens their skin and shatters them. And so like it's an anti-zombie music brigade in this doll zombie world. And if I recall correctly, the main character is a transgender Shota. But this was years ago. I could be wrong about that. I know there was something gender fucky with the main character who was a little guy. This was a manga. I'll type it in. I'll type it in chat. My recommendation: Grand Guignol Orchestra. Look it up. I remember its art style was pretty cool too. Another central character, a member of the orchestra, was a castrato, if I remember right. A grown man, but had his balls removed when he was a little boy, so he would have little boy voice forever for singing purposes. You got juice? God, I love having this much stun damage. I hate that that guy's attack carries him right out of my boom cloud. Dodge into it, Dub. That works. The theater?
Locked.
We must go to the theater.
Best run along home, sir.
All right, I'm out. You don't.
Same place right now, sir.
Just kidding.
Remember your vows.
Stupid.
Brothers.
Whoa, hold on.
Murderous bastard. Stay back.
That felt so good. Just to fucking shoot him when he was doing his prayers? That's awesome. You guys ever think about Hamlet? I think about Hamlet. I think about how he wants to kill this guy so bad and he has a perfect opportunity when the guy is praying. And it's like, he's such a little hater, this Hamlet, that he's like, oh, well, I'm gonna have this perfect opportunity to kill this guy who I hate, but since he's praying, if I kill him while he's praying, he's probably gonna go to heaven, and I need him to go to hell. So I'm gonna let him live for now. What a great fucking decision. Good job, Hamlet.
I cannot enter.
I think about Hamlet so much. Hamlet's good. Shakespeare popped off with that one. Should wait till my vulns were gone, idiot. My invulns, rather. Don't fucking hit me with your church stick. Gross. Oh, I'm just out. I'm just out. Okay. Stop! Stop, stop, stop. Oh my god, I can't see shit. There we go, there we go. I'm just gonna need to be farming for a minute. Farmville moment, Farmville moment. Got him. There we go. Beautiful. That was so messy. Of all the evil and foul scowls I ever had to fight, the Ichor, or Ichor, may be the worst. Not only because of its fighting prowess, even if it remains a powerful and dangerous opponent, not because of its superior wit or cunning plans, an Ichor is quite blunt and straightforward in his actions and objectives. Spread diseases, contagions, and epidemics whenever and wherever it can. An Ichor is the incarnation of viruses and infections. Wherever it goes, sicknesses appear and quickly spread. It is like it only walks this earth to generate plagues and epidemics, as if its skin itself diffuses sickness. Ichors are clever, sneaky, malevolent, and ferocious, capable of enduring many wounds. To spoil a water tank, a granary, or a banquet, this is the kind of things an Ichor would enjoy to do. In order to please its putrid and perverse nature, they are so rare that we do not know anything about them. The lazy brotherhood believes that they should not be considered vampires or scowls, but else something else. All I know is this: an Ichor must be destroyed by any means necessary as soon as it is spotted. Yeah, I believe it. So I believe I can get theater access here. Like, it would make sense, because I'm trying to get... Oh, what if I have to go around a little more? Yeah, here we go. Hey, we found this earlier.
Window on the second floor. I should be able to get in through that. It's locked.
Aha. Wah. Wee. I can't stand the pain anymore. It's like my entire body is breaking apart since that bitch infected me. For days now, she keeps hiding in her room, giving orders through little written notes, and only rehearsing at night. I witnessed one of her so-called rehearsals. She walks on stage, angry and hateful, spitting and whining about her fading beauty. The bitch is infected, rotten to the core. She plans to infect everyone in this place, and then everyone in London. Her next play is not before December, and at this time, all the theater's employees will be her obedient minions, forced to serve her evil machinations. I'm sure she's found a way to corrupt our food or the water, since we all started to get ill and change after the meal she arranged for us last Monday. I want whoever finds this note to know that I only killed myself to escape living hell that this place has become. May God have mercy on me and my immortal soul, since I refuse to be an accomplice to this devilry. Ooh, cinematic. They're making me walk.
Woe to you, nations of hypocrites. For in front of you stands the tall queen. You can but lower your head.
Can that be Doris Fletcher's voice? Where does it come from?
The stage, dude! She's soliloquizing. Idiot. God, that cloud lingers long enough to just be annoying as hell. I saw her in the flesh. The witch from my childhood nightmares. The bitch that tortured me for years. I saw her and I shivered. Her voice, her face, I knew she was in that hospital. I knew she was sick and I wanted to witness her suffering. I may have reinvented myself, become a famous actress, erased those wicked years from my memory. I can't forget I'm her daughter. When I saw her frail body in that small bed, suffering, sick, defeated, I had to hide my tears, for she was looking at me. She recognized me, she saw the hate in my eyes, and she smiled. My pale corpse of a mother. And the worst thing was I felt no satisfaction seeing her in so much pain. The worst was not to suddenly remember the beatings and the abuses. No, the worst was to recognize the hate I felt in my heart when she looked at me. For it was the same hate I saw in hers. For in the end, I can't escape being her daughter. We are the same, my mother and I. Terminally, EP. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Caro. Thank you for stopping in. Have a good sleep. Okay, well, this is obviously the progress point, so let's... We were just in there, I'm sure of it. Yep, she's down there, soliloquizing.
Alas, poor Doris. I knew her well.
Speaking of Hamlet.
And many can testify to her kindness and beauty. For now she hides in shadow, ugly as sin. But when you burn and die, she will rise and be queen again.
I like her. I like her.
Woe to you, nations of hypocrites.
Still going.
For in front of you stands the tall queen. You can but lower your head, fit only to smirk at her soiled feet.
I don't want to kill her. She's got charisma. A natural stage presence, if you will. Oh, this is the front area. The entrance. Die, idiot. Idiot. Stupid. Can I unlock it? Come on. Let me out so I can go back in. There. I just wanted to unlock a door. That's all I wanted to do. Loving you is all I do. You blew my mind.
I cannot enter.
We can't enter. It's locked. Heartbreaking. This door is locked. Rat.
I have this thirst for blood.
He's had that line since the beginning of the video game.
It's locked, all right.
It's locked. Okay, that absolutely is.
She hides in shadow, ugly as sin. But when you
Yeah.
fly, she will rise and be queen again. Will they adore me again? When they share my
Well, that's close enough to detect her pulse.
for I have been raised through hate.
I'm already good on rat. Doris time.
Who are you? You who dared enter my realm. Are you here to worship or mock?
Oh, I bet she's lumpy under there.
I'm here to put an end to the vampire epidemic, Miss Fletcher.
Ah. But Doris Fletcher is no more. She was consumed by this putrid flesh that now enshrouds her.
You feel anger for what happened to you, but I can help you. I'm a doctor, Miss Fletcher.
Doris Fletcher is no more.
Oh, deliver it to the crowd, girl.
All that remains are the dreams of the queen she was, and the queen she'll be.
Yeah, to the cheap seats, girl.
Until then, all shall die, for that
Ooh!
was her final wish. My blade, arise and save your queen, my slaves.
Oh, she's so tall.
On guard.
And she has moves. The haver of moves.
I smell your fear. Your hand is shaking. Behold, Kinslayer, the disgrace of she who was once renowned. Will she be the queen again
Yep.
once they all share?
Oh, she's got a really cool lumpy arm.
Your blood will be
Ooh, tentacle.
mine. Touché,
Uh, That bite actually gave me invulns against her tentacle.
On guard. Come to me, my servants. Avenge me.
Fuck, fuck, fuck. Okay, whoo, close one.
My father. Prepare to die.
Did she just do an Inigo Montoya line? Girly, girly. Do I have... Hold on. An ad wanted to start, and that's not acceptable. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Okay, okay. That got nobody.
Woe unto thee, son of Babylon.
Woo! There we go. Stop. Messy, messy, messy. Messy combat, messy combat. Fuck.
My blade shall pierce your villainous.
Ooh, ah. That was rough. Very strong start, but then we kept on not having a good time. See, I don't want to waltz my happy ass all the way back to a hideout. Hey, you know what? I'm thinking. The amount of time it's gonna take me to beat this boss, and then there's always gonna be some weird wind down shit afterwards that's gonna take more time. I think I'm gonna call the stream here, and then we can handle this next time. I think that's kind of how I want to play this. Because I'm getting a bit hungry, and I need to go get some food, or I'm going to start getting grouchy. And you wouldn't like me when I'm grouchy. So let me switch to this screen. Hi. Thank you for stopping into this stream. I'm clipping over here. You see that I'm clipping? Isn't that great? Let me just fix that. Hi. Thank you for coming to the stream. Don't throw things at me. Fine. It's been wonderful to have you here, and I'm about to open the raid browser and see who I can dump you on. Like an unwanted child. Come on, raid browser. Ooh, jeez. Everyone's playing Night Raid. All right, I'm gonna send you to Vampyr. All right, thank you all so much for coming. I'll see you next week. Good morning.